Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon, and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon, and crypto link in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching. Then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected. And if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. One last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now, we are joined by Neil, 10th Man, and a whole bunch of people in Discord, so welcome one and all.
Greetings, everybody.
Also got Brian's Logic, who was trying to get in right while I was doing my intro. Thank you very much indeed, Brian. How you doing, Brian? I'm okay, to be sure.
Hey, Nathan. Hey, everyone. How are things?
Hey, Brian.
Excellent. Good to have you. Excellent stuff. I'm going to do a quick shout out first and foremost. It'll only be quick today because I've already done it once in the pre-show. But a massive shout out to all of the people who have supported my GoFundMe campaign fundraiser. So finishing off the YouTube studio here has required a lot more money than I first anticipated. So massive shout out to the anonymous contributor who donated and contacted me over the weekend, Jesse, Jeff, and Kevin. So huge, massive thanks to all of you. If you did want to donate, make sure you set the tip amount to 0, which is just a way of making sure that all the funds go to the campaign, obviously, unless you want to tip GoFundMe. And if indeed you do want to support the campaign just by sharing it, just smash the share button. That always helps if you didn't necessarily want to contribute. So I will do that exactly myself now and actually share the link myself, and then we'll ask some housekeeping questions. So it's not going to be a massive plug, but a huge thank you to all of you who have supported my GoFundMe campaign over the weekend. Any signs of a physical geometric sphere-edge horizon, formerly known as the curve of the Earth?
Not from Two Harbors General Store.
Hey, Alwyn.
Welcome.
From high altitude.
Flat Earth Debate.
Welcome, Arwin. Good to have you.
Yes, good to be back, guys. Really good to be back.
Wow, you sound good.
Good.
Yeah, Arwin sounds more enthusiastic than ever. What's going on?
Yes. Well, you might notice a little difference. Just like the little difference in Lord of the Rings Part 2. I have returned. I am no longer gray. I am now white.
You've come for second breakfast, I take it.
Yeah, I'm also very, very hungry. That's right.
Oh, alrighty then. So the Grey Wizard has returned and all is well.
Yes. Yeah, I know you thought I was dead. So did I last week. But yeah, I was just falling into the pit with the Balrog. But yeah, he's dead now.
I don't know about
returned.
I don't know about thinking you were dead, but I could have killed you when you had a blazing row with Bob Nodell in the live chat. But there we go. That's life.
Yeah, well, yeah, hey, if you see a goblin, you gotta kill it, you know? So
moving on. Any evidence of axial rotation of the Earth-based variety?
Okay, he's a cave troll.
No axial rotation, no 15-degree deviation either.
Yep.
Wait a second. Neil deGrasse Tyson says a field goal was made because of Earth's rotation, and he is the high priest.
Yeah, he's claiming the standard rhetoric. Earth turns underneath at 15 degrees an hour to cause apparent deflection. Ergo, ball deflects through goal because Earth turns underneath at 15 degrees an hour, according to his claim. Just standard globe claim. Problem is, it doesn't actually happen. If it did, it would shorten flight times when travelling west. Drones would whiz away from you at 1,000 miles an hour on the equator as you turned underneath them. None of that happens. And when we point that out, they say words to the effect of, we wouldn't expect to see drift, even though they're claiming we have 15 degrees an hour of it. And it's quite funny to point that out.
But all the ballers here are fighting against it.
Yeah, and we welcome them all to Flat Earth with their denial of the 15 degrees an hour drift Neil deGrasse Tyson's claiming.
Yeah, well, we got 15 degree an hour drift, but it's of the sun, and it has 24 of those 15 degrees. And what they do is they say, "Oh, let's take that sun and put it way out there, and say the Earth is turning to cause the drift."
And is that who's making that noise? Arwin.
What?
Making a right racket. Sensitive mics on meat.
Was it me?
No, it's Arwin. Any evidence of the
Oh, do you
distance
have
to the
to
sun?
mute here? Or...
Yeah, always. 3 years Arwin's been doing this show. Yes, when you're not talking, please mute. Thank you, Arwin.
Yeah,
He has definitely been reborn. He's forgotten everything about how the show runs.
Sorry, it's just this new thing. This Hangout system.
It's exactly the same.
gosh.
I was just thinking today how unbelievably similar it is to Hangouts. It's just almost identical in almost every way.
Yeah, Nathan, where's the mute button on this new system? Come on, man.
Ugh. Any evidence of the distance to the sun?
No evidence for the distance to the sun.
Oh, really? I saw Eric's Dubé's video in which he said that it had a very specific distance and size. Over
Okay.
the
I quite like that because he later goes on to poo-poo their use of its angular size.
Uh-huh.
So it's 30 miles across. Oh, is it? But yet they use angular size. Oh, right. That's interesting. Nevertheless, right, criticisms of Dubé aside, right, he and Quantum Eraser both picked up on Sabine's nonsense. If eyeglasses and technology, then we've got a globe Earth. I thought that was absolutely hysterical.
Yeah.
And Dubé was on that like flies on the proverbial poo-poo.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was a good
yeah,
video,
true.
and I liked his part about relative density. He really nailed that part. I loved it.
Indeed, he
Can you
did.
give,
Yes, he did.
Tony would have been proud of it.
Can you give context to Sabine's analogy a bit more, please? I haven't seen it.
I just gave it. Because of technology, we have... If you're ever worried about a flat earther having a better argument than you, know this, Globers. Sabine says, if we have computers and we have eyeglasses, i.e. we've got technology to make these things, then we're obviously in the position to trust the scientists. And scientists say globe. So if computers, then globe. That's her logic.
Wow.
That-
And that's
the
some things
video
don't
that-
change. Go on, Brian.
Sorry, and the video Aaron's talking about, I posted in Master B. What the part I liked a lot about it was that he actually called her out on the whole flat Earth society thing. I did a response to that video myself, and I called her out on that. Her using flat Earth society as the flat Earth and using this upward pizza disc thing through space model that we don't ever claim. And he went through the history, and he had some photographs and stuff that I actually myself couldn't find online, but he must have found them a good long time back because he was maybe back in 2015 or 16, and he laid out the history of the flat Earth and people who were flat earthers before the now flat Earth, the present day flat Earth, and how nobody ever claimed that we were on a pizza disc flying upward through space. You know, and he just showed her research level to be horrendous. So that was very good.
I find that a very cheesy comment coming from her.
I mean, she just bought into the standard mainstream. Anybody who's coming at Flat Earth from a reasonable size mainstream channel always attacks it in that way. They say, here's my baseless assertion generalization fallacy in terms of what a flat earther thinks. It's based on Flat Earth Society. Here's what the Flat Earth Society say.
Yeah, and the worst part is people like her who come out and say these kind of things and attack us in that way from their positions of authority, being PhDs and whatever, having a big YouTube following. They never address us then after that. When we address where they were wrong in their video, they never address us afterwards. Our comments are always ignored. Our response videos are ignored. All of it.
Well, at least they're paying attention, as someone wrote in chat, to even discuss the subject. So we are having an effect.
Oh, certainly.
Yeah,
I mean, it's been a
funny
year
thing.
now since Tyson and I believe it was Joe Rogan discussed debate. Very specifically, flat earthers and Dubai.
They have some kind of must be some kind of a kind of unwritten rule to just never address flat earthers who address their videos or their claims about flat earth.
No, they
But
specifically
Joe
gave that as the.
Joe Rogan is a full-on baller, guys. Come on.
I know.
He tend to entertain the moon landing once because it was trendy. It was trendy. He doesn't give a shit, man. He's just talking about the most disgusting, corrupted shit you can imagine. He's
No,
just
he got
pandering to bankers.
No, he got awestruck by Neil deGrasse Tyson. He came in and muddied the water, and Rogan fell for it, hook, line, and sinker.
He
Just
has
because they had enough fuel.
he has technocrat millionaires on his show, man. Who gives a shit what he thinks?
I've forgotten Brian's
Well,
point now, and I was going to comment on it. What were you saying, Brian?
Yeah, I was just saying that that they seem to have an unwritten rule, these PhDs, and that they attack us through YouTube.
Right.
An unwritten rule to never respond to our responses to their videos, to our comments underneath, anything. They don't address us ever. They address flat earth, but they don't address the flat earthers, if you know what I mean.
It was one of the pieces of advice on that website. I can't remember who brought it up, but it was like, gain their trust. That's their main objective. And you read between the lines, man. The globe's a cult. They're not interested in fighting our arguments and defeating it. They're interested in gaining trust and belief in the rhetoric.
Right. If they don't have trust, then they can't start up their routine with the idea, the mind experiment, that the horizon is actually the edge of a sphere you're looking past. If you can't do that, then they have literally nothing. They don't have any arguments grounded in physics.
That's true, but it's much more far-reaching. If
Good
you're
morning,
a liar
guys.
and you need to convince people of whatever, then you need to know that they trust you when you lie to them. Now, the heliocentric base for people's worldview in terms of their existence is just part of one of many lies that you must accept to be a functional part of the rhetoric and society that they, whoever they are, have chosen we should accept. Now, if you're not accepting of it, it doesn't matter that you're right or wrong. It matters that you're not accepting of it. And you need to be accepting of it, because when we tell you other things, we need you to know that you're accepting of those things too. So you need to be trusting of us, not understanding whether it works or not. You just need to trust us. So don't worry about the arguments. Worry about trusting people. Okay, that's their way of being. Well, who's going to do that? Well, a narcissistic abuser is going to do that. That's what they do. Narcissistic abuser will tell you it's for your own good as well. Well, you know, the people who narcissistic abusers want are the people who are complicit or will be willing to be abused. The people who aren't, they don't care that they're going to point out how wrong what they're doing is. They're not interested. They're interested in you being in a position to be abused by them and nothing else. So our argument being right or wrong is only going to appeal to your rational man, but then he's got to make a decision, and this is where a lot of the fundies lose sleep. Because then you've got to say, but then I have to realise that I can't trust the narcissistic abuser anymore. Yeah, that's right. yeah. It's got far wider reaching implications, hasn't it now? And I'm in no doubt, I've had this confirmed a couple of times now, that they are losing sleep over this. It bothers them greatly. Me, I don't lose an ounce of sleep over any of this. And I'm confident in saying none of you guys do either. I've had accounts from flat earthers where it's the complete antithesis of that. They're losing sleep until they find out that they're just in a position where they've been lied to and deceived and the world isn't exactly how they thought it was. And then they get more sleep as a result. They're more relaxed. And I'm one of them.
Talking about sleepless people, look who's in chat. Mr. Reference Frames himself. Oh, the irony.
Good morning, Chocolate.
Hey, Chocolate, how's it going?
Morning, Chocolate.
Good morning, people. How's everybody?
Very good, very good. It's one of them, you know, Dan has got his useful place here now, and that will never change. You know, that quote from Dan about you and your reference frames, given that they are you and your reference frames on the globe side, that's permanent. You know, that's never going to go away. It's like Thunderfoot Clown. Gas go down, go boom, boom, permanent. Gravity's not a force, but you can think of it as a force, permanent. These are features. Dan's permanent feature on the show now. You know, if he likes that, great. If he doesn't like it, it doesn't matter either way.
By the way, that Rumpus part you had, when was that? Thursday or Friday? It was absolutely epic, man. I've watched that thing like 3 or 4 times now.
You actually
so
mentioned
good.
that. I mentioned it at the pre-show that you said it was a good show.
It's really good. It's one of your best.
12.99 was the number.
He was arguing that night. He was on Ranties that night, and Paige brought up, because Paige obviously listens to the show all the time, and she brought up that whole debacle with him and bouncy balls and gas molecules, and he was arguing his point there as well. He was trying to argue that it was analogous and it was a good demonstration of it and all this sort of stuff. Paige holds him to task pretty well though. Mark Howard.
Epic. Any evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth?
Yeah.
Yeah?
No. No,
What?
not yeah. No.
Well, the fact that people are wearing eyeglasses and we have a computer, that means everything that the heliocentric model is proposing is true because science. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I have a question.
Hold on. This is a bit of a revelation.
Is the molten iron inside that core, is it actually flowing in relation to the Earth's surface?
I believe no
Does
one
it
just
have
paid
momentum,
attention to
or
what
does
chocolate
it
just.
spin with the rotation of the Earth?
I believe no one just paid attention to that absolute revelation out of the lips of Chocolate saying that was absolutely profound. I'm almost tempted to move over to the globe side. Can you repeat that profound logic? Because it's absolutely sublime. I mean, I'm that close to converting. Maybe I misheard a little bit though, but tell me again, Chocolate.
I mean, supposedly, we've got people out there like Sabine Hassel, whatever her name is, saying things like, well, we know the Earth is a globe because we have things like eyeglasses and laptops and people are wearing clothes and stuff. Therefore, science, therefore, globe. I mean, doesn't that just want to convert you, like, in a minute?
In a heartbeat! If science, then globe? The only problem is, Sabine, that there isn't any science that you have on your side whatsoever. So, if science, what you mean? If pseudoscience and logic that doesn't relate to the subject, then globe, that is the most piss-poor logic I've ever heard.
Well, by that standard, I'm still a goldsmith, so if I could make like a really cool object with my goldsmithing, does that mean that legitimizes why the Earth is flat?
If you say, if you draw that non sequitur by her standards, yes. If goldsmithing, then flat Earth. Yeah, it's as preposterous as that. Yes, that's correct.
Okay, cool.
Well,
not cool. Cool. Oh, what? So you'll utilise that baseless non sequitur fallacy, will you, Owen? Because it's so wonderful. My sarcasm was a bit too thick, it seems.
Yeah, but at least Arwen's goldsmithing has a chain reaction.
Oh my God.
No.
I got the one about cheese a minute ago too, Tent, and I wasn't even going to address it.
Well, shout out to Eric DeBay and Quantum Eraser who immediately pounced on this, and I'm like, yeah, you're both spot on. It's absolutely useless. And anybody watching that goes, yeah, we've got science, yeah, we've got science, therefore globe. Anybody who actually is dumb enough to buy that is just be on the globe side. You know, you are dumb enough to not want to be here. I don't want you here if you just buy that as logical consistency. Oh, my God, Sabine.
Right. I think it's safe to say that the average herd animal is more intelligent and would not be fooled by something that stupid. Like, you know what I mean?
Can I say what really disappointed me about that? I mean, obviously, this whole heliocentric nonsense is just buffoonery, right? But then, all right, so this lady is representing that side of this argument, right? But what disappoints me is that she can't even be honest about it. Now, it's either she's being dishonest or you're just really lacking in your research, because when she says flat earthers think that the earth is gravity doesn't exist because of the upward acceleration of the earth, the disc of the Earth, to me, it just makes it like, how can I even respect you as a person on the other side when you don't even you're obviously not even taking this seriously? Because if you've done any research, you would know there's not one flat earther that's actually arguing for the Earth moving upwards. That's literally more conducive to your side than our side, if anything.
Yeah, it's just
But to blatantly say that, you know, it's like you either really didn't do your research or you're just really out here bullshitting. It's one or the other.
Well, her research is going to the Flat Earth Society website. Let's have a quick listen to what she's saying.
That gravity does not exist, and that the observations we normally attribute to gravity come instead from the upward acceleration of the flat Earth.
Yeah. No, that's just a Flat Earth Society narrative. Nobody punts that, as was pointed out by Eric Debay. You know, who's claiming that exactly? Oh, the Flat Earth Society. Top Google search. So she's Google searched it. Top result. Flat Earthers say this. Wow, that's extensive research. And a baseless generalization. And a stereotyping fallacy. Wow. Unbelievable.
Well, it's ironic that we're on the any evidence for the molten iron core, I think it is, we're on now. And during her video, Eric Debay points out very clearly that she uses the word belief. So flat earthers believe this and flat earthers believe that. He points out, no, we don't believe this and we don't believe that. It has been shown to be demonstratable and repeatable. And that's why we always see flat. We always don't experience a curve or rotation and all this kind of stuff. So it's always the case that entropy will take place. It's like we don't believe things. You know, we don't just believe something for the sake of because it suits what we want something, but what we want to be real.
Right. They're turning.
She has to believe that. Sorry, I just want to finish. She has to believe that there is a molten iron core. Sorry, I've gone here.
Well, all I was going to say is they have to take what is basically the absurd. It's the outrageous claim. And any outrageous claim needs to come with a whole stack of evidence for it to be believed. They have the outrageous claim, molten iron core being one of them. Absolutely no evidence of it whatsoever, but you can believe in it if you want to. Now, that outrageous claim is backed by nothing, but if you don't believe the outrageous claim, you have a belief. So, hold on, because I don't believe you when you tell me, not show me, that there's a molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth. In spite of the fact that the Earth is obviously and observably flat, and we have debunked any notion that we have any curvature demonstrable whatsoever beyond a reification of a physical horizon, why would I accept your outrageous claim? Well, not accepting it makes you a believer in the obvious and observable nature of your reality. No, I don't have a belief in the obvious and observable nature of our flat plane we dwell atop. You have an outrageous claim that travelling south means antipodal on a ball. You're the one with the outrageous claim. It's not a belief to not believe your claim. Any evidence that you can have gas pressure without the necessary antecedent of a container to press upon?
Ooh.
No, absolutely no.
That's really fun. I want to have my moment here with this because that's the question that I broke open in Dr. Becky's latest book reading live stream. Like at the end of it, I came in the chat and she was, oh, look, any questions? Not physics related, of course, not flat earth or anything globe related. And I just started like, yeah, look, I have an idea. I'm like a physics student, a hobbyist, and I'm trying to build a emulation of Earth. Just not ball Earth, flat Earth. No, I'm not gonna, just an emulation of Earth. So I'm trying to figure out like how is this gas pressure sticking to the ball in the endless outer space? Because I'm trying to make an emulation in my computer. Can anybody explain that? Instantly, what happened? All these people in chat said, "It's a flat earther. It's a flat earth." It's like, what? What are you talking about? Flat Earth? What is flat Earth? I'm just. Look, it's a ball, right? I just want to know how this works. I'm trying to learn physics and I want to build an emulation. Can you tell me how it works, please? There's a flat earther question. But can you answer it? Because that's how it's supposed to be, right?
No,
how does this work?
No, you're supposed to be believing them. Doesn't matter if you're right or wrong. You're not believing them.
Believing does not help you build an emulation. I just want to emulate it in my computer. So how does this work?
So did anybody try?
It's not relevant, Arwin. You're not a believer. Your wanting to do this is irrelevant of your belief in their cult. It's a non-cult member, is what they're saying.
Yeah, but I'm not interested in flat Earth or ball Earth.
That's all they're interested in, though.
How it works.
That's all they're interested in. Do you believe in the common rhetoric or not? Not does it work?
Yes, but that's fine. I just want to know how it works. I don't.
You keep saying you want to know how it works.
I believe it.
And I'm telling you,
if it's possible, but how is it possible?
Yeah, they're not interested in that either. They've got a cobbled together excuse if you want to look it up yourself, and they'll shout it at you if you defy it. And if it doesn't make any sense and you point that out, that's not relevant either. And they tell you in the advice to challenge flat earthers, you need to get them to trust you. Not expose how the globe is real, because it isn't. Just get them to trust you. And immediately when you enter that ring, regardless of what your motivation is, you're just a non-believer, non-cult member. And they're just going to point at you and go, look, non-believer.
Well, that's kind of what I did, because if I may, please, if I want my moment with this, please, right? I spent like 15 minutes on this in that chat, and I did not mention the word flat or ball or anything or heliocentric a single time. All I wanted from them is like, can you please, yes, I believe it. Yeah, it's a ball, but can you please tell me how it works? And she told me, yeah, we already explained this 1,000 times, but not with me. I just arrived here. Can you please tell me how it works? It's this. It's like, okay, but that doesn't work because my physics teacher told me that gas is unbonded. It doesn't spin with it. And so that's, if you do it like that, it'll drive them nuts. And they, the other people, the ballers, will say flat earth, flat earth, flat earth, flat earth hundreds of times in chat without you even mentioning it, confirming or denying it a single time.
Okay, I got it. Thank you. I can draw a comparison that's one step removed even further. Not in a baller or even slightly related subject. GeoShifter and myself were in Lewis Rossman's chat. Why is the PP bus losing voltage? I ask from the chat. And what is the reply from people who know who I am? It's a flat earth! Because regardless, they're talking about board repair in Max, but they're still part of the same cult. And that is the underlying thing that wants to get talked about by anybody who's not in the cult. Because, yeah, cult members have got to repair their MacBooks, but that person's a flat earther! So it doesn't matter, right? All that matters is you're a non-believer.
But it does matter. Because you can literally tell them, no, I don't believe in flat earth. I don't care about that. I just want to know how it works because I'm very seriously trying to build something here. Can you please tell me how it works? But it has to work in physics. Did she ever answer
the question at all? Like,
well,
did she even attempt to?
Becky wasn't really, it was just book signing. She got all sweaty though, like really sweaty faced, and then ended the stream eventually. But the people in chat were just going nuts because suddenly like 10 different people in there that were just her fans were saying flat earth, flat earth, flat earther, flat earther. And I didn't even use the word flat a single time.
Okay, we heard that 10 times. Thank you. Did you, at the point that she was getting uncomfortable, was it because of that? Were those two things related?
I can't tell for sure, but it was kind of remarkable that eventually she really started to get all flushed all of a sudden. So maybe...
That could be anything. Anyway, moving on. What have we not covered? Any evidence of the R value?
Well, not really, no.
Not really.
Not really.
Well, you could never expect to see it.
Well, it's on paper.
Well, with enough distance, you could see it if it was there.
Black Swan, anyone?
Yeah, but it's not high enough.
Black Swan, anyone?
Yeah.
I'm full. I'm good. I've just had a badger.
Ooh.
Don't forget, everything has to work in the math to 3959. So it doesn't matter how they try to get out of it. If the 3959 is the distance, then it's got to match, and it doesn't. So no.
Hold on. But that's not
Well, if
entirely
you
true,
believe
though,
enough,
because
wait,
they've already got a concession that at best we disprove the radius. It could be slightly different. So
Correct.
Excuse me, guys. We all know that eyeglasses are a thing.
okay.
Therefore,
Right, let's not draw that one out. Sabine's had enough of a mention.
Chocolate, thanks for making me see straight. Thank
Hold
you.
on, Brian wants to. Hold on, guys. Brian, go ahead.
Oh no, I wasn't saying that. I was just laughing at Chocolate's joke.
So, Chocolate, what you're
But-
basically saying is we got lenses, so ball Earth radius. That's the proof.
excuse me. Are you not on a computer? Therefore, we are living on a spinning water ball. Thank you. Science.
Hmm. Okay, but the question was radius, though.
Still science.
Well, maybe
'cause
with
of
the
laptops.
eyeglass we can see the radius.
No, it's a geometric measurement,
Right.
not optical.
Well, then-
Don't say measurement. What do you mean?
Well, if you actually had a sphere in front of you, you could do that math, and it would work. Now, the only problem is that if you have a ball in front of you, then you have actually got a physical tangent point to measure to. Whereas if you're utilising a non-physical apparent location, i.e. the horizon, and assuming that's a physical tangent point like you'd have on an actual ball, then you've got a massive problem, especially when the black swan points out that it's non-physical, way beyond the parameters of the geometry, and the rebuttal is, we wouldn't expect to see geometry, so we wouldn't expect to derive an R value then, because we can't see a tangent point and we can't draw a straight line to it. Bye-bye globe model, bye-bye globe geometry, globe dead, end of the road, the model's untenable.
Good morning.
Good morning. Paul, did you want to add something, Sin?
Paul.
S-I-N in Discord? Clearly not.
You know the 8 inches per mile squared calculation? The baller has often said that that's only good for up to 80 miles, this kind of rubbish, because they're trying to belittle it. And they always come out with, oh, it's a parabola, or it's a parabola, is that what they say it is? It's not, it doesn't make up a circle or whatever. But like quantum ratio even states that it's good for 1,000 miles. I've heard surveyors say it's good for 1,000 miles. Like that type of calculation.
That's not true.
Well, I'm only going by what they say, right? Now, it was from Pythagoras that comes from. Really, what I'm kind of saying is that, I mean, you won't see only a certain distance anyway, but really, I don't know what way my best way to say this. I mean, 1,000 miles, if it's good for 1,000 miles, I've heard George Nitschuk say, no, it does, that if you do the maths correctly, it does make the whole sphere. It's not just good for 1,000 miles. And I've heard him put a lot of people straight, several people straight at one time on Jose's about it. But if, like I say, if you make 24 of those 1,000 miles, that makes up your full globe. So if you start over 1,000 miles later, you know, that would make a full globe. You know, that's maybe not mathematically correct, but the point is that like that exact calculation for 1,000 miles. So 1,000 miles of drop. You know, that if you just start again, you'll do another 1,000 miles of drop, and then another 1,000 miles of drop. So 24 times over, and you'll end up, you know, maybe a little bit over 1,000 miles. You'll end up with, you know, you'll end up with your globe.
Yeah, if you start the measurement each time, when they say that it doesn't work, it's beyond a certain distance from a certain point. Now, obviously, you could draw that measurement, and it's in line with how the surveyors work, and then you start afresh when you get to that limit. But the limit is, you know, about 1,000 miles. You know, about the same, it runs about the same and looks about the same as how you calculate out the Rayleigh criterion just by coincidence.
Yeah. Yeah, see, you can either do that or
I
you can
just hear an
accept that.
excuse.
Go on. Sorry,
I'm sorry.
Chocolate.
No, I was just gonna say, whenever I hear, oh well, the 8 inch per mile square, that's it's only good for this amount, and you can't use it past this amount. Well, then where's the calculation for the rest of it? Right? Like where's the new 8 inch per mile square? Well, how do you work that out? For me, I just hear an excuse every time they say that. It's like, oh, because we can't actually measure this curvature, we're gonna tell you, yeah, this only works for this much. Until you can't get any further, now it can't work anymore. But I've never heard the new formula, the new equation. Well,
let's just make it clear. There can't be a new version because of the problems with the old version. Because the old version, let's just call it as we've termed it here, 8 inches per mile squared. What's the problem with an 8-inch value? Well, the problem is that doesn't change with distance. So let's say you're looking at an 8-inch brick, and it disappears completely from view based on angular limitations. If you draw that in orthographic view, you can still draw a line between the man and the 8-inch brick, and then write 1 million miles on the line between them. It makes no difference in orthographic view. But of course, in reality, things get smaller with distance. So as soon as you say, oh, well, it's 8 inches per mile squared, that we'll lose things from the bottom up because of earth curve obstruction in the way. Oh, right, well, what about the fact that things get smaller as they get further away? Well, no, they don't. They're always 8 inches. No, not when you're looking at a photograph, they're not. The trees in this picture, in the far distance, are smaller than the ones in the near foreground. Well, no, they're probably about the same size. They just look smaller. But if you attribute them with a feet and inches or meters value, they never change at any distance. Very useful if you're going to call the effect of things getting too small to see, and the limitation against the deck being the reason they disappear from bottom up at the most extreme limits, given the fact that weather can get in the way, swells of water can get in the way, and many things between you and anything a mile or more away can get in the way. But all of those things are always going to be called earth curve if you attribute an 8-inch value that doesn't change with distance. Or to put it more succinctly, earth curve mathematics utilizes actual sizes to hijack the effect of perspective. That would be angular sizes, and that's things changing with distance, which they do when you're looking at them. So comparing photographs of horizons where things on them have got smaller with their distance to a calculation that has them disappearing at a feet and inches or meters value based on the mile squared doesn't give you an accurate representation of reality. In reality, things get smaller with distance. They've hijacked perspective and called it earth curve.
That's exactly right.
Hashtag shit shrinks.
Yeah, stuff gets smaller.
That there's an 8 inches per mile drop, or you can accept that you've got visual limitations.
Yeah, angular limitations. And an 8-inch value isn't going to change with angle at a distance. But the angular size, the not actual size, the apparent size, the size things appear does. Here's a load of identically sized columns. Every single one the exact same length. This one looks smaller. Has it gone over earth curvature? Because the only thing in earth curve mass that could attribute this is earth curve. Now, obviously, the further you go, the smaller this will become, until eventually it disappears from view, at which point earth curve math says earth curve got in the way, completely ignoring the fact that the angular size of each one of these columns gets smaller with distance. Smaller and smaller and smaller the further they get away. Well, when they eventually disappear from view, if you've ignored that fact by giving them a 3-meter value, then this is 3 meters and this is 3 meters, and that is accurate. Other than the fact that one looks smaller than the other, that's its apparent size. The angle to the item gets smaller, completely hijacked by earth curve mathematics, so they can assert that the horizon is a physical obstruction obscuring your view.
Yeah, and another claim that's connected to that whole bending or that whole curvature argument, which is a backing up of the 7/6R. Instead of speaking about where the 7/6R calculation comes from, and then showing how you can't see the radius because of the 7/6R that's calculated from them seeing the radius, right? sorry, from them seeing the geometric horizon. We can't see the geometric horizon because of the 7/6R, and the 7/6R is calculated from them supposedly seeing the geometric horizon. Instead of speaking about that, they keep saying that light bends down towards the denser medium, right? But when you fire a laser across an ice lake, the laser starts to eventually bend up the way, not down the way. It keeps on, lasers keep on doing this. But the denser air will be closer to the surface of the ice because it'd be colder. So, I don't know.
But again, making comparisons with what lasers do in imagery is optical effects. And their optical effects are completely ignored when they give everything an actual size value that doesn't change with distance. So this view is a horizon running the centre of the image, albeit with a horizon of trees. This is a horizon, right? Something in the near foreground obscuring things in the background, at the limit of view. The convergence point. Well, if you turn this into begging the question, proof of nothing, perspective hijacking, earth curve mathematics, this line will be represented by a single point. And that single point is what they will call the horizon, even though horizons don't represent themselves in that way. They have a single point with targets in the distance, measured in feet and inches, and asking you, a flat earther, no doubt how it's the case that 3 feet of the building's missing. It's like, well, the 3 feet of the building is a completely different angle if you're right next to the building. You'd have to crane your neck to look up to it. But a mile away, you don't anymore. Because it's reduced towards the horizon as it's got smaller with distance. Well, at the point that it's across the deck, with the deck limiting the angle to the bottom of it, you can have things disappear from view much sooner than if you have a completely wide open angle as you do with the sky. So the deck will cause the limitation of angle to come sooner and block things from bottom up, in their view, caused by earth curve, in reality, caused by a limitation of angle.
Exactly.
It's
funny. Well, sorry.
I was just asking if that was it. We've covered all the housekeeping questions. I lose track if we get about beyond 30 minutes into the show.
I don't know if we did any viable hypothesis from cosmology, astrophysics.
We didn't, but you go ahead now. You've reminded me. Whatever you were going to say, feel free.
Is there any viable hypothesis from cosmology, astrophysics, or astronomy?
They're halfway there. They've got plenty of phenomena to study. DVs up the wazoo. Just no hypotheses, ever, in any instance. So when you next hear a pseudoscientist claiming that the space is caused by blah blah blah, no, it isn't. That's just a just-so story. Probably called science, immediately invalidating it and justifying it as its actual title of pseudoscience, which you've got a lot of on the globe side.
Yeah, I don't know what you guys are talking about. Somebody just walked by me with eyeglasses on, so...
I'm pretty sure I've got several computers just within eyesight, so that pretty much proves the globe for me. Chocolate, I don't know, if you don't need eyeglasses, computers are good enough.
Yeah. Even better if you look at the computer with the eyeglasses on. I mean, that's science on top of science, man.
Yeah.
We got a problem. We got a problem. I'm pretty sure that everybody that's watching this show has proof the Earth is a globe right in front of them.
Right, on their laptops. That's right, Chocolate. The wider implications are unbelievable. Everybody watching this show is looking at it on a computer. And computer means science, and science means globe.
We're all literally proving the globe right now.
You're all watching this thinking we're proving flat Earth, and Sabine has told you, right, just by the nature of watching flat Earth debate, you're basically proving the globe. I'd take that and go to Next Man and use it as a proof. And it'll work, because they'll be reassured that you're in their cult. So they won't care what you've said or whether or not it proves it. Likewise, if you come along and prove it's wrong, that doesn't matter either, as I was trying to explain to Owen at the beginning of the show. It doesn't matter that you can see every hole in their Swiss cheese argument. What matters is you don't believe them. That's it. That's all that matters. You haven't got faith.
Yeah, when you were talking about being in Lewis Rossman's chat, and Arwen was asking questions in Dr. Becky's, and straight away people went flat earther, flat earther, flat earther. It's like, non-believer, non-believer. It's like they are the people's front of Judea, and they see us as the Judean people's front. Acting away from the life of Brian. That's who we are to them. The
What
Judean
happened
people's
to
front.
the Popular Front?
Yeah.
Who is it?
The Popular Front.
Yeah, we're
Popular
the
Front of
wizards.
Judea.
We're the people that ask questions. It's terrible to them. It's terrible. And they
I
call it
like
flat
that.
earthers, but it's just people that want to know. That's all, really.
That's Arwen
How
ruining
dare they ask questions? Seize them.
Arwen was ruining a perfectly good Monty Python punchline right there. Never
Oh,
mind.
sorry.
They
Watch that.
deflect on purpose because when they come on a show like this, they get beat up. The real flat Earth debate is here, and other shows like this, I would say as well. So they can't debate flat Earthers here, as this show has proven. So they must create a flat Earth narrative they can defeat and mock. So what is that? That's the flat Earth society.
That's the controlled opposition
Whenever
way.
this comes up, what's that?
That's the way you do it, with controlled opposition. Don't fight
Right.
with the people who actually have an argument. Employ people on your own side to have an argument with them, and make sure that's very public. Like Sabine debunking the Flat Earth Society. Well, that's very useful, because obviously anyone who comes along says, right, Sabine says flat earthers think Earth's a pancake, with boats falling off it. When in reality, their own religion has Earth a sphere with the horizon physical, with boats going over it. That's the reality. But she says, we think pancake Earth flies up at 9.8 meters per second. No, we don't. Flat Earth Society, who is employed to be an opponent to defeat, says that. We don't say it. But people who are here on the globe side to, fight their cognitive dissonance and pain are here because they have actually considered this and have realised there's an issue and they want to get to the heart of the issue and debunk it quick to ease their pain. But those people are actually on the fringe of not being a normie, as much as I might hate to admit it. The people who are just going to go to Sabine and nowhere else, those are normies, not the people who come here on the globe side, I mean.
Well, the
Maybe
amount of
Sabine would like to have an interview with Professor, in quotations, Brian Cox, because he describes Einstein's general theory of relativity as the Earth moving up to meet the apple. So maybe they need to get together and figure out their own bullshit.
They already did. That's the purpose of the bullshit. Why do you think they've got a boat falling off the edge of a pancake Earth in Flat Earth Society rhetoric? Because they've got boats falling over the edge of a sphere. Best not to point out they don't have a physical reified sphere edge horizon. Much better to just put that on your opponent and debunk that. Let's debunk their boats going over the horizon. And meanwhile, we'll push that boats go over the horizon. Same thing.
yeah, but chocolate.
I'm nearly there. Same thing with gravity. So you're saying, well, why is it coincidental that you've got 9.8 meters per second and 9.8 meters per second, let's call it squared? Because that sounds a bit different. Well, the reason is simple. Because it's much easier to have part of your own narrative ingrained in your opposition's narrative. For example, gravity, things falling over edges, and space. Where's the pancake flying up through? Oh, well, it's in space. Because the sky's still a vacuum in our opponent's rhetoric. Is it? No, you can't have gas pressure without a container. It's absurd. The sky's not a vacuum. So what's Flat Earth Society got as their model? Oh, right, models are pseudoscience. We don't have them either. Well, what about the boats falling over the edge? Well, we don't have them either. We point out how your boats are falling over an edge on the globe side of the argument. But it's much easier to defeat a Flat Earth narrative that's got that happening for us. Because obviously we go around all day claiming boats fall over edges. Because that doesn't make us seem totally insane. Meanwhile, that's precisely what globeheads claim! Boats fall over edges!
Yes.
And then now in 2020, they want to come in and try to remind us about optics and perspective. How adorable.
Yeah, our argument, you mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Chocolate, I was going to say, how did the apple know that it was going to be food?
Just reminded me of something because I just spotted Dan again in the chat. So, sorry. The problem with that is that eventually you'll get some complete clown idiot like Simon Dan come along and doesn't realise how the double-speak rhetoric works. And they will say something like, you and your reference frames are ruined, to an opponent that doesn't have any reference frames. and reference frames are crucial to their own argument. But because it's been pushed to the point where the opponent's argument is represented as their own, like boats falling over a pancake, yeah? When you push that to the limit on a side that's stupid and doesn't actually understand that their argument is A, wrong, and B, requires doublespeak, they'll start to attack the doublespeak being detailed by their opponent because they mistake it for being claimed by their opponent. Now, Dan has done exactly that. It's the straw that broke the camel's back when it came to the Coriolis virus. The pandemic started at that particular ground zero. Start by attacking me for my reference frames that I don't have. Now, in the case of the Flat Earth Society rhetoric, there is actually a narrative where boats fall over an edge. They've got it in their pictures. Now, that's a much easier juxtaposition to doublespeak because you can actually try and claim, even though it's incorrect and a baseless generalization stereotyping fallacy, that I've got boats falling over an edge. Because Flat Earth Society says I've got boats falling over the edge when I haven't. They have, as a controlled opposition narrative. But I don't have any reference frames. I've got no requirement for a claim of Coriolis. And yet Dan's debunked my reference frames that I don't use. That's a demonstration of the dangerous tightrope that you must be walking on if you're engaging in false narratives that are using doublespeak. Because if you fall off the tightrope, you end up debunking your own claim, which is what Simon Dan has done. You and your reference frames are ruined. Good job I don't have any, but you do. 15 degrees an hour, Earth turning underneath. That's your claim with your reference frames, Simon Dan. But because he's stupid, he didn't realise when he tweeted me that he literally debunked his own side's claim. Because he doesn't understand the argument. But that's the problem. If you're going to put out complicated doublespeak narratives to justify things that don't happen, like 15 degrees an hour drift as Earth turns underneath, stuff not attached, you're going to get clowns like Dan that don't really understand that. And then come along and debunk the globe side's claim by stating overtly that you and your reference frames are ruined. Well, there's only one person and one side that's claiming reference frames, Dan, and it isn't us. So well done, you complete idiot. You've managed to debunk the claim of reference frames that suggests Earth turns underneath stuff not attached like footballs and bullets. Well, those are the reference frames you've debunked by saying they're ruined and showing a man with no drift. Well done. That's your demonstration of stupidity. Now, the fact that Dan is claimed to be a tutor is an embarrassment because he's thick. If he was in any way smart enough to tutor people, he'd understand that telling somebody that their reference frames are ruined when you have an argument that specifically involves reference frames and your opponent doesn't, you're not in any position to be tutoring anybody. You are idiotic, Simon Dan. But thank you very much for debunking the reference frames your side needs to claim 15 degrees an hour drift as Earth turns underneath stuff not attached. Because now we can actually pummel the fact that that doesn't happen. Earth's not turning underneath blimps that watch a football game, as Neil deGrasse Tyson asserts that Earth turns underneath the football it's filming. Earth doesn't turn under drones at 1,000 miles an hour, 15 degrees an hour on the equator. They don't whiz away at 1,000 miles an hour because we're turning underneath them. That is the globe side's claim, and we definitely don't need reference frames on the flat Earth side. Good job, Dan. Thank you very much. Your stupidity prevails for the flat earthers once more.
Speaking of tutors, I mean, even Smoking the Grass himself came out and with another video talking about or reiterating how the Earth is rotating underneath a football. So maybe you should go look him up, Dan, and find out if you guys are in agreement in your little rhetoric. Obviously, you're not because you think our reference frames are ruined. Well, again, like Nathan said, we don't make claims to reference frames, but you do. And your little science communicator.
Somebody can make me a nice little thumbnail for a future video, which will inevitably be made, with Jake Paul versus Nate. And obviously Neil deGrasse Tyson, because he's black, and so is Nate, is going to be the one getting knocked out in this scenario. But he's going to be getting knocked out by a transposed head of Simon Dan, because obviously Dan's knocking out Tyson by saying you and your reference frames are ruined, because he's the only one claiming them. So that needs to be a thumbnail. If someone can put that together for me, that'd be ace. Yeah, flying through the air as Dan knocks him on his ass by declaring that his reference frames used to make that example are debunked. Good job.
Yeah, Dan. Maybe you should try to go get a stint on Star Talk with Smoking the Grass Tyson and Chuck Nice or whatever his name is, right? So you guys can have a sit down, a little powwow about is the Earth actually rotating underneath footballs, or are his reference frames ruined also? Dan, thanks.
Didn't Dan say that the last day he was in the chat that he was going to have to go and have a conversation with Neil deGrasse Tyson? He said that the Coriolis issue was a complicated issue, and we know it's not.
That's correct.
And he was going to have a conversation with Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Correct. He said they were, quote, and I quote, tight.
Him and Neil deGrasse Tyson are tight. Is that what he said?
Really? That's adorable.
How would that conversation go?
Well, maybe they're, he'll convince them, because apparently they're still waiting around for Neil deGrasse Tyson to apologize for his claims about not being able to see curvature at 120,000 feet, like that little website likes to declare, like, oh, he was wrong, and we're expecting him soon to formulate an apology. Well, maybe they'll throw the rotation of the Earth underneath footballs in there with him, in the little powwow.
Or maybe they'll start calling him a flat earther.
Well, I was going to say that requires a welcome to flat Earth, does it not? So Neil deGrasse Tyson needs to apologise because he claimed Earth has rotation at 15 degrees an hour underneath a football. That's Coriolis effect. So he should apologise for claiming Earth is spinning. Yeah, I agree. Welcome to flat Earth.
Yep. Snacks in the back, bathrooms to the left.
I mean, I wouldn't be so bold if I was in the presence of Neil deGrasse Tyson, because, respect. Same goes to Dan. He's a YouTuber, respect to you, my friend. More power to you as a YouTuber. Same goes for Neil deGrasse Tyson as a broadcaster. In terms of his career, good for you, man. More power to you. I've got respect. And I wouldn't ever be so bold in his presence to just openly declare to him that you and your reference frames are ruined. I wouldn't dare do that. I mean, that would just be insulting, wouldn't it? Really rubbing it in his face.
It's incredible to see the side that says the Earth is rotating at 15 degrees is doing their very best to prove that it's not.
Yeah, and that's the way to rub it in his face, though, isn't it? Just tell him outright that you and your reference frames are ruined. No foreplay. Just straight to the point.
Well, you wouldn't expect to see any rotation.
Yeah.
Rotating globe.
Yeah.
Why would you?
Yeah.
Why would you
you're
expect
crazy.
to see rotation? I mean, come on. That's only the claim, but don't expect to actually see it.
Missing a point. Earth is so big, you wouldn't expect to see it on it. Earth's so huge.
Well, if I get a computer and put on glasses, can I see it then?
I think if just having a computer proves Earth rotation, does it not? Am I wrong, Chocolate? I could be wrong. I haven't got it from Sabine. I'll have to double check with Sabine, but correct me if I'm wrong, Chocolate. Just having a computer proves we spin, doesn't it? Technology, that's science, therefore spinning.
I mean, just looking at the computer, you're doing science. So that's science on top of science on top of science, bro. You're good.
Completely agree. With that, I'll say, if you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley premiering streams, then stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, if you are watching this live, this is where we bid you farewell. A huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of you who smashed the super chat, liked, commented, shared, subscribed, and all that good stuff. Be sure to check out my GoFundMe campaign, which is almost at its conclusion. I've been Nathan Oakley. Stay tuned if you're watching on either premiering stream, and I'll see you all in the next video.